In this recording, we will be looking at completing the square or writing in the form x plus a bracket squared plus b. How do we write this in this form? So first of all, it is just a different way of writing that expression. The reason we do it is to find maximum minimum points on a curve, which we'll get to after. We just need to be able to do the skill of completing the square or writing in this form. So how do we write in this form? Okay, well, we always have a bracket squared, which is a double bracket in effect. X here, plus or minus, depending if there's a plus or minus here. If there's a plus, I'm going to have a plus. If there's a minus, we have a minus. Now, what's half of 8? It's 4. We always half this term here. Okay, now, if I expanded the brackets x plus 4 squared, I would have an x squared plus a 4x plus a 4x plus a 16. So if I simplified that, I'd have x squared, which I want. I'd have 8x, which I want. I'd have an extra 16, which I don't want. So I need to get rid of that. So I'm going to subtract it outside. So you always subtract outside this number multiplied by itself. And we've got this minus 6 here. Simplify, and you would get x plus 4 squared minus 16. Take away 6 is minus 22. If I expanded those brackets and simplified, I would go back to my original expression, because you'd have x squared plus 8x plus 16 minus 22, and 16 take away 22 is negative 6. Okay, let's practice another one before you have a go at some yourself. So let's complete the square with this expression here. So bracket x, we've got a minus, so we need a minus. Half of 6 is 3. Squared. Now, if I expand those brackets, if you wrote them as a double bracket, you'd have x squared minus 3x plus 9. We always subtract off this number multiplied by itself, because if I did expand these brackets, minus 3 times minus 3 is positive 9, so I need to take off 9. And then I need to minus 3, which gives me x minus 3 all squared. Simplify, minus 9 take away 3 is minus 12 as your final answer. Okay, have a go at these 4 questions yourself. Maybe put me on pause, unpause when you're done. Okay, so for this one, x plus 5 squared. 5 times 5 is 25, so I need to take off 25 plus 3, which simplifies to x plus 5 squared minus 22. Here, I'd have x minus 4 squared, because half of minus 8 is minus 4. Minus 4 times minus 4 is positive 16. I need to take off 16 and plus 2, which simplifies to x minus 4 squared minus 14. Half of 12 is 6. 6 times 6 is 36. So we'd simplify to half of 3 is 1.5. It's up to you if you write it as a fraction or a decimal. Now, minus 1.5 times minus 1.5 is 2.25. So I need to take off 2.25 and take off 5, which simplifies to now these are higher level completing the square now, because the coefficient of x squared isn't 1. We've got a 2x squared. Now, your exam board do like these completing the squares with these types of questions. Let me show you how to do them. So we can't complete the square yet because we need a 1x squared and we've got a 2x squared. So I'm going to put these two terms in a bracket. Because I want 1x squared, I'm going to divide them both by 2. So take 2 outside my bracket. X squared, sorry, 2x squared divided by 2 is 1x squared. Divide this term by 2, you get 4x. And can you see here, if I expanded the brackets here, I'd have 2x squared plus 8x plus 3, which I have as my top line. You can always check that there. Right now, you can actually complete the square with this bit in the bracket because we've got 1x squared. So I'm going to introduce some square brackets here. So x plus half of 4 is 2. 2 times 2 is 4, so I need to take off 4. And I got my plus 3 outside my brackets. Now I'm going to expand my big square brackets here. So you must remember to times everything inside the big square brackets by 2. Don't forget, so I've times this bracket by 2, I need to also times the negative 4 by 2. Then I've got plus 3, which simplifies to 2x plus 2 squared minus 5. Okay, you might want to watch me do these two questions. The one on the right is particularly favoured by the IGCSE Edexcel exam board. Here, again, I need a 1x squared, so let me divide through by 3 here. Divide by 3. And again, let me just check that. If I expanded these brackets here, I'd have 3x squared minus 12x plus 2, which is what I want. Let's introduce the big square brackets. Minus 2 times minus 2 is positive 4. And then multiply through by 3 with my square brackets. Simplify. Minus 12 plus 2 is minus 10. Right, this one here. So I'm going to rearrange the order because I like to see it as minus x squared is your x squared term, then your x term, and then your constant at the end. Now, the coefficient of x squared isn't 1 here, it's minus 1. So I need to take a minus outside my brackets. Has to be coefficient of x squared 1. Just be careful here, right? So minus 6 divided by minus 1 is positive 6. And again, if I expanded those brackets, I'd have minus x squared minus 6x plus 8, which is what I want. Now let's complete the square. Half of 6 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Let's bring back my minus here. Minus times minus 9, or minus minus 9 is positive 9. Okay, maybe have a go at these 4 questions yourself first. Put me on pause, unpause when you're finished. Okay, so for this first one here, let's divide the first 2 terms by 2. Let me just double check. If I expand these brackets, I've had 2x squared plus 4x minus 3, which is what I want. Let's halve the 2 to get 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 2 times minus 1. Final answer. Next one. I need to divide the first 2 terms by 3. If I expand these brackets, I'd have 3x squared minus 9x plus 1, which is again what I want. Half of what 3 is 1.5. Minus 1.5 times minus 1.5 is positive 2.25, so I need to take that off. Expand your brackets. So 2.25 times 3 is minus 6.75. Simplifies to question 3. Divide 3 by 2. Complete the square. Expand your big brackets. And the last question here. Let me rearrange the order first. Divide the first two terms by -1. And again, let me just double check this. So if I expanded these brackets, I get minus x squared minus 8x, which again is what I need. So let me complete the square now. Minus 16 is positive 16.